Hello and welcome to Tarot with Tanya. So 7 cards for 7 days, and we are looking at the week of Monday, September 16th through Sunday, September 22nd, 2024. And thank you so much for being here. As always, with the general reading, take what resonates for you and let the rest go. It's for the collective. And I will talk about the astrology for the week, starting with the moon signs. And we have quite a few aspects going on this week. It's a little intense that way, including an eclipse in Pisces on Tuesday. And we'll talk about the cards, and we'll end with an oracle card from the Tree Keeper's Oracle. And I'm also using the Wildwood deck again. So on our Monday, the 16th, we will have the moon in Pisces. Interestingly enough, moon's our first card for this week too. So that's a water sign. It's the fish going in different directions. It is the mystic, the artist, the creative. And then we go to moon in Gemini, and that's a very different energy. It's air, it's the twins, it's thinking, it's communicating, it's ideas, it's travel, short trips and things like that. So on Tuesday, I mentioned we have the lunar eclipse in Pisces, and I talked a little bit just then about Pisces. So eclipses can very much be a reset, time to change the energy, and some astrologers believe that lasts about 6 months. So it's just a good time to be mindful and perhaps focused on your creativity, perhaps focused on your spirituality. Now it's opposite. Pisces, the sign of Pisces, has this opposite in Virgo. So that will also bring in issues about the health. Those two always work together. We look at those polarities because they're balancing each other, playing off of each other. So you might feel, some of the energy in that Virgo area, service and health, the intestines. I think it's the small intestine that Virgo rules, things like that. So again, could be a sort of reset. The energy's shifting. We will be coming before too long out of the south node being, the north node being in Aries and moving, because it goes backwards in our perception, into Pisces. So this is the precursor to that kind of energy coming toward us. Again, stuff about the collective, unconscious, the creativity, our spirituality, our deep connections with one another, and our more human connections on the planet in terms of health and practical issues. All right, so Wednesday then, we have Mercury being opposite Saturn. So Mercury is ruling our communication. It rules Gemini, so there are things that are similar there in terms of those short trips, ideas. It's the mind. The higher mind is Uranus, but this is our more mundane mind with Mercury here. And when it's opposite Saturn, Saturn wants things to be serious, wants things to get done, is the taskmaster, helps you choose realistically, things like that. So you just kind of want to be aware that it could affect our moods a little bit. We could also feel a little bit more serious, a little bit more weighty about the way we communicate. Then on Thursday, we have the Sun trining Uranus. So the trines are the happy ones. Sextiles and trines are much easier. A trine, there's a good, positive, easier flow of energy. And Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, and the far out ideas, the very innovative technology. I mentioned that's the higher mind, the higher octave of the mind. Mercury's the lower, and then Uranus would be the higher on that. So it could be a very fun day. We could meet strange and interesting people, have interesting thoughts, things like that. It could be fun. Then on Friday, we go into an opposition this time with the sun, and it's opposite Neptune. So that could make us fuzzy. It could make us a little spaced out, a little unsure about what it is that we want to focus on at that moment, what we want to pursue, because Neptune is just going to dissolve and, want us to flow right into all of that oneness. Whereas the sun is all about the light, and it rules Leo, so the self and the drama, and Uranus, Neptune rather, likes to emphasize, the togetherness, like the melting almost of each other into the one collective unconscious. So it could be perhaps good for creativity that day. Better to focus on things like that than things that need a lot of detail and organization. And then finally, nope, I spoke too soon. We got two more. So on Saturday, we have Mercury squaring Jupiter. And then the sun trining Pluto. So that squares are tough. To me, that's like one of the hardest energies, because it's almost like they're pushing hard against each other, and neither one wants to give in a way. So here, Mercury, the winged messenger, as I mentioned, the lower octave of the mind, buzzing around quickly, and then Jupiter, large and boisterous and powerful. So we could maybe could be a little cranky, could be a little cramped in our style, could want to do some things and then get a bit stuck on being able to make them happen, to execute our plans, especially plans for travel or communication. And now with the sun trining Pluto, as I mentioned, trines are much easier energies. And so you have that bright sun shedding the light, ruling Leo. And then Pluto has retrograded back. It's been retrograding for a while, but it has made its way back into Capricorn. So that is money, power, business, responsibility, oligarchs, things like that. So we're having a revisit on that. And with the sunshine there, hopefully we can see things fairly clearly. That's not going to last that long. The sun's moving, a degree a day. It won't be there. That energy won't be there long, but it could help shed some light in that way and what's really going on behind the scenes, the power dynamics. And then finally on next Sunday, the 22nd, we have the sun entering Libra. That's a place where we like diplomacy, we like aesthetics, beauty, we like harmony. It's the peacekeeper. Libra, wants to charm and please and have everybody get along. Venus rules that sign, and Venus will also be entering Scorpio on that Sunday. And Scorpio's intense. That's the one that's very much about transformation. Dissolving the old, letting things go, so there can be a rebirth. Think of the phoenix. That's the highest form. The lowest form is the snake or the scorpion. The eagle is in there, but the burning it down and rising again from the ashes, phoenix energy, is Scorpio. So he's sexy. That's one of the qualities with Venus and Mars, if you have either of those in Scorpio or transiting now. And then also Venus squaring Pluto. So I talked about earlier that those can be tough energies, those squares. And here, wanting to have fun versus wanting to be serious, wanting to be romantic versus wanting to be responsible. I hope I said that right. Basically, you get the fun-loving Venus. Romantic, inspired by art, harmony, and then Pluto being now in Capricorn, and really, it's a pretty hardcore energy, Pluto is. You know, Lord of the Underworld kind of energy, seeking power. You know, that's one of the ways. So kind of a love squaring power sort of energy. All right, so busy week that way. And then for the cards, we ended up with 2 majors this week, and all the rest are minor. So we have 1 royal card, and we begin with the moon, which is interesting. Because we got that moon in Pisces on the Monday, and then we got that lunar eclipse also in Pisces. I mean, that's where the moon has to be for the eclipse to be there when it's lunar. So it's very much emphasized on our Monday. And here, you know, you can see it reflected in the water. There's an almost egg-like shape that happens. So it's a little bit of distortion. I don't know how well that comes through. But I think it's also supposed to be that moon reflection. And what's under the water? What is it that's coming to the surface? What don't we understand in our normal logical ways, but in our more intuitive ways? Then on Tuesday, we stay with the watery theme with the 8 of Cups, rebirth. Sometimes people see this as a walking away card. I see it here as a letting go, and one of the ways that we do renew ourselves is through letting go. 8 rules, well, 8 is the house that Scorpio rules, let me put it that way. So there's this scorpionic energy too of letting that past go, letting something be reborn from that. So that seems to be very much the energy on Tuesday. Wednesday, we get our second major, the Green Man. Now, most decks, this would be seen as the Emperor. So there's a lot of power there. There's a lot of strength there. And this is the day that we get the Mercury opposite Saturn. So this is going to be the more Saturn-like energies in some ways, or at least potentially. We have a pretty stern-faced looking green man there, and you know, he is accomplished, he is steady, he is stable. 4 is the earth number, and it's very stable. He can get things done. So you know, you might encounter a person like that on Wednesday, or you find that own energy in yourself. And you know, with the green man twist on it, I think it's a very good time to pay attention to nature too. Ground your body, try to spend some time in nature. And then on Thursday, we move into the 5 of stones. Earth, discs often are what these are called, or pentacles. And this one's called endurance. And it's got a bit of a sad face on this child here, sitting at the cave. A fire is going. There's lightning in the distance. This one it's been labeled worry in the Thoth deck, and there is a bit of like, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to do moving forward. You know, the 4, there's a very strong energy to stabilize in the 4 of stones. The 5, kind of that worry sort of creeps in, and then 6, she starts to make more money, whatever, have more success, more abundance. But here's that moment of pausing and maybe worrying a little bit. So just try to use that pardon me, as a moment where you pause and reassure yourself it's going to be okay. You know, if you've made it this far, you're probably going to keep making it. So some good self-talk there could be really helpful. We continue with the stones on Friday, and this is the 1 people or royal card. This is a king. And of course we can see it's a wolf howling at that full moon. So we begin our Monday with the moon, Tuesday that lunar eclipse, by Friday we have our wolf howling at the moon. So this is the, it would normally be like the Knight of Pentacles or the Knight of Discs, slow, steady, or King, depending on what deck you're using. But the final card of this suit. So generally reliable, generally slow to get things done, but to do things in a steady and strong, straightforward way. We get a second 4 for our Saturday. And this one, the Four of Arrows, arrows being an air energy, butterflies often representing that. We have this floating, obviously oversized butterfly. But butterflies are symbols of the psyche too. So when we can let ourselves rest, perhaps there can be some transformations that happen. One, just feeling better, feeling renewed. So the person is face down, sleeping. It can be something that can indicate ill health or something like that. But I don't think that's what it's about here. It just says slow down. Actually, do take that rest. Let yourself be stable and quiet. Our really toughest card for the week comes on that Sunday, the 22nd. And this one is called, well, it's jealousy in the subtitle, but it's the Three of Arrows or the Three of Swords. And this one almost always has a very challenging image. We have to remember that the swords, the arrows, that's in the mind. It's the mental body. So the image is coming from inside, not outside in, but inside out. So we're projecting, that is what I'm trying to say. So it could be a sense of feeling abandoned, left out. It's many say it's supposed to represent the original mother, father, child dynamic. And I don't think any of us are on Earth or in Earth school here without getting some of that wounding. It just seems to be part of it. But remember, we can let go of it and move on. And that would be a great thing to do, to focus on seeing things in a more creative way that benefits you in terms of your mental health, your stability emotionally. All right, so we'll finish up with a Tree Keeper's card. And this one, Keeper of Endings. And that feels right with the eclipse coming, and time to let some things go so we can make room for new and better. The forest is a place of endings and beginnings, and no one honors the process of ending quite like the tree keepers. They carefully watch for the signs of illness, decay, or death, tending what can be mended, letting go of what has served its purpose in the greater weave of nature's tapestry. The Japanese word akeru means to pierce, to begin, to end. Over and over, we are reminded that endings contain beginnings inside them, and the piercing of grief creates a sacred opening in our psyche where new life may pass through. And that's just a lovely way to think about that. The grief has a purpose. We need to mourn our endings and give the heart the space to process loss, but be careful not to tread too closely to despair, for while ending carries new life inside it, despair keeps us from seeing it clearly. And I know we had this in the last few weeks. So beloveds, thank you once again so much for being here. Welcome if you are new. Welcome back if you've been here before. Please consider liking, sharing, subscribing, and having a personal reading. It can do wonders for you. I will see you again in 7 days. Have a wonderful week.